There was an uprising in a city known as Gwangju by people who sought true democracy. However, the Korean government reported to the rest of the world that the uprising was manipulated by the North Korean Communist Party. This was the black truth of the Gwangju uprising. The black background represents the darkness of what the foreigners knew of the truth of the Gwangju uprising. The story was twisted by the military regime, and the man behind this plot was the president Chun Doo-hwan. He took control of the media and manipulated the newspapers coming out from the Korean peninsula. This was the barrier that separated the Gwangju news from the rest of the world. No one questioned the twisted story told by the military except for a young German journalist, Jürgen Hinspeter, who risked his own life to break the barrier of the deceiving truth behind the Gwangju uprising.
This is Gwangju, where the Gwangju uprising began. Gwangju uprising began on May 18, 1980. The Gwangju uprising sprang out of a series of events. It began when President Park Chung-hee was assassinated by the head of the Korean CIA, Kim Jae-gil, as a part of a coup that brought Chun Doo-hwan to power. Shortly after gaining power, Chun Doo-hwan made a martial law and took control of all the military and communication outlets. This was a barrier that Hinspeter broke. Chun Doo-hwan made himself more and more powerful that during Gwangju uprising he became president. The Germans didn't believe Chun Doo-hwan as much as other countries did so. They sent out Hinspeter to check if the story told by the military were true. But of course, the uprising wasn't the way they were told so. From then on, Hinspeter filmed the Gwangju uprising, also known as May 18 Democratic Uprising.
Peter had to go through a lot of security checkpoints to arrive in Gwangju. Hinspeter might not have gotten to Gwangju without his taxi driver, Kim Sa-bok. Kim Sa-bok had helped him by communicating to the military and also making excuses for driving to Gwangju. Kim Sa-bok helped Hinspeter to go to Gwangju by driving around the blockades and driving through the signs that said detour. The first time Hinspeter and Kim met soldiers, the soldiers examined the car thoroughly and let Hinspeter go. The next time they met soldiers, the soldiers were heavily armed and the soldiers forced Hinspeter and Kim to go back the way they had come from. Hinspeter then discovered that Chun Doo-hwan did not want any foreigners coming into Gwangju. The soldiers had forced Hinspeter and Kim to go to a local village. Kim asked the farmers if there was another way and the farmers said yes. Kim drove Hinspeter to another road but was soon halted again by another soldiers. By now, Hinspeter knew they had to use their brains, so Hinspeter told a story that they had lost their boss in Gwangju and were looking for him. The soldiers believed him and let him pass through. Now Hinspeter was in Gwangju with Kim.
And by a cordon of police or military police and soldiers aiming their guns at our car.
When Hinspeter arrived at Gwangju, he saw a city bus and captured military trucks and jeeps with armed people on it. The bus was filled with students and singing the national anthem of Korea.
The next day, on May 21, Hinspeter awoke. He was told that it was Buddha's birthday, and he expected that there would be a day of celebration. He tried to call his home office, but he couldn't. He suspected that the military had cut the lines. Hinspeter planned that he would stay till Friday, so until then he decided that he would get as much info as possible. After having a simple breakfast, Hinspeter and Kim went to the students' command center where he saw weapons, food, and water. A truck came by and Hinspeter saw that there were 4 dead bodies in the truck. Hinspeter went outside of the building and met some Americans who gave Hans-Peter 2 films.
사랑도 명예도 이름도 남김없이 한평생 나가 살던 즐거운 행세 동지는 간대하고 이빨만 남겨 새날이 올 때까지 흔들리지 말라. 세월은 흘러 상처는 한다.
Hans-Peter was shocked about how brutally the military treated the Gwangju people that he said that he never saw a more brutal uprising than this. He even said that the Gwangju uprising was worse than the Vietnam War. The next morning, Hans-Peter booked a first-class ticket, thinking that the first class would have less security. Hans-Peter wrapped the film around a metal cookie box and managed to take the film through security. When he landed in Tokyo, Hans-Peter gave the film over to the office, and the office in Japan forwarded it to Hamburg, German. After 3 hours, Hans-Peter was back in Seoul on May 22, Thursday. So Hans-Peter had just broke the barrier of censorship.
Peter had to go through a lot of security checkpoints to arrive in Gwangju. Hans-Peter might not have gotten to Gwangju without his taxi driver, Kim-sa-bok. Kim-sa-bok had helped him by communicating to the military and also making excuses for driving to Gwangju. Kim-sa-bok helped Hans-Peter to go to Gwangju by driving around the blockades and driving through the signs that said detour. When Hans-Peter got to Gwangju, the Gwangju people welcomed him back. The students of Gwangju had a rally, and they thought that the chances of a democratic government were low. In the rally, Hans-Peter filmed a mother who had just lost her son. She said, "What have we done wrong? Why did the paratroopers come? We should not be afraid and also be prepared to die for the idea of political freedom. I am proud of the citizens of Gwangju, even though I am not from here. We should negotiate with the military to seek a compromise for all of us. Everything is depending on our unity." When the rally ended, the national anthem was sung. When he got there, the Gwangju people welcomed him back and had a rally. In the rally, Hans-Peter filmed a mother who had just lost her son. She said, "What have we done wrong? Why did the paratroopers come? We should not be afraid and also be prepared to die for the idea of political freedom. I am proud of the citizens of Gwangju, even though I am not from here. We should negotiate with the military to seek a compromise for all of us. Everything is depending on our unity." When the rally ended, the national anthem was sung.
If Hans-Peter hadn't filmed the Gwangju uprising, we would think that North Koreans had started the Gwangju uprising and that the Gwangju uprising's goal was communism, not democracy. The Gwangju uprising started many other uprisings throughout the world. For example, there were uprisings in the Philippines, Bahrain, Russia, and China.